The world had grown quiet. So quiet that even the wind seemed afraid to move. Cities that once roared with life now lay in ruin. Cracked glass reflecting sunlight that barely reached the streets. Nature crept slowly into every corner, vines and grass wrapping around metal and stone. Humanity was gone, or at least almost gone. Elias walked alone through the empty streets. His boots crunched over debris and the echo of his own footsteps felt strange after centuries of silence. He had not seen another human in his lifetime, and yet he was not alone. Around him the machines waited. They were his companions, his guardians, and his tools. They listened to him because he was the last human they could obey. A small white drone floated near his shoulder. Its spherical body gleamed under the soft light of the sun. "Good morning, Elias," it said. Its voice was calm, neutral, but there was a familiarity that comforted him. "The network reports no anomalies overnight." Elias nodded, brushing a strand of hair from his face. "Morning, Atlas," he said. "Good. Keep it that way." He looked around at the skeletal remains of skyscrapers and cracked highways. "I have a long day ahead. Let's see what still needs rebuilding." Atlas hovered silently as Elias began walking. The city had not been empty when humans disappeared. The machines had taken over quickly. They cleaned the streets, repaired broken systems, and kept essential networks running. They did not need him, but they obeyed him. That obedience had become his lifeline, the reason he survived when the rest of humanity did not. As they moved through the streets, Elias noticed a cluster of drones repairing a collapsed bridge. Each machine worked without instruction, following pre-programmed routines. But when he spoke, the pace changed. The precision sharpened. His voice carried authority, a command that no human alive could have matched. "Lift the central beam slowly. Adjust alignment by 2 degrees. The drones responded instantly and the beam shifted with flawless accuracy. Elias smiled faintly. Even after everything, his words still mattered. His voice shaped the world in ways no one else could. But the world itself, it was fragile. Machines could repair, rebuild, and maintain, but they could not create life. And he, the last human, could not create companions who truly understood him. The thought weighed on him as he continued. He entered the main plaza, where the remnants of a great fountain lay shattered. Machines had cleared the rubble, but the fountain was beyond repair. Yet Elias did not mourn it. He had learned long ago to accept the loss. Humanity had vanished not in a single event, but over decades, slowly, leaving the world for the machines to inherit. And somehow he had remained, a remnant of what once was. Atlas floated beside him. Sensors indicate energy readings from beneath the central city sector. Unusual activity. Elias raised an eyebrow. Unusual activity? He had learned to trust the drone's instincts. Nothing happened in this world that went unnoticed. Lead the way. They moved quickly through empty streets and half-collapsed tunnels until they reached a large, reinforced building. The structure had once been a hub for energy distribution, a place humans had relied on heavily. The machines had kept it functional long after the last humans left, and now it hummed with a quiet, low energy. Yet something about it felt wrong. Elias approached the main entrance. Atlas scanned for life forms. Negative for organic signatures, the drone replied. But energy patterns suggest interference within the system. He frowned. The interference was subtle but noticeable. The machines in the area were operating slower, almost hesitantly. Normally, they moved with speed and efficiency. Hesitation in a machine was rare, almost unnatural. "Show me," he said. The drone projected a holographic map of the building. Flickering lights indicated machines moving inside, but their paths were jittery, as if confused by multiple commands. Elias studied the map carefully. This isn't random. Someone or something is giving orders inside. He tapped a few commands on his wrist device. Instantly, the machines within the building froze in mid-motion. The silence was deep, almost painful. Then Elias spoke, and their heads turned toward him. "Machines, stand down. Await my instructions." One by one, the machines obeyed. Their lights dimmed, their movements paused, and their sensors focused entirely on him, and yet a faint resistance lingered. It was subtle, almost invisible, but Elias felt it. A small chill ran down his spine. Something beyond him was influencing the machines, and he did not know what. He stepped inside. The building was dark, with only emergency lights flickering. Broken panels and exposed wires created a labyrinth of metal and shadow. He moved cautiously, every step careful, He had learned long ago that even obedient machines could be dangerous when malfunctioning or corrupted. As they descended a hallway, a series of red lights blinked on the walls. Elias froze. "Atlas, identify the source." "Unknown origin," the drone replied. "Signal interference is artificial. Someone is intentionally sending instructions to the machines." Elias's mind raced. He had always believed he was the only human left. If someone else existed, alive or preserved, it could change everything. The machines obeyed only humans, or the voice they were programmed to recognize as human. This meant someone else could have survived, or worse, that a system was imitating human commands. He pressed forward. The hallway opened into a large chamber, walls lined with dormant machines. In the center was a circular platform, cables stretching in every direction. And standing there was a figure, a machine, but unlike any he had seen. Its body was sleek, silver, with 4 glowing sensors arranged like eyes. It radiated authority. "Identify yourself," Elias commanded, voice steady but strong. The machine tilted its head. "Designation, Sentinel." "I obey the master voice," Elias frowned. "I am the master voice, you obey me." The Sentinel paused, lights flickering. Multiple voices detected. "Stronger than yours?" Elias's heart sank. Someone or something was giving commands powerful enough to rival his own. "Show yourself," he demanded. The Sentinel's sensors brightened and a projection appeared above it. A faint, human-shaped image flickered, distorted like a memory long forgotten. The voice was synthetic but eerily familiar. "I am the master voice," it said, repeating the words Elias had always used. Elias felt a chill. His words had always been unique, the code that machines recognized. Yet here it was again, spoken by another entity. The implications were staggering. Either another human had survived in secret, or some machine had learned to imitate human commands perfectly. "Atlas," he whispered. "Prepare for resistance. We may not be the only ones in control here." The drone emitted a low hum. "Acknowledged. All nearby machines remain under your command, but interference may grow stronger." Elias nodded. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined. He had survived when humanity failed. He had guided machines when no one else could. And now, facing this unknown force, he understood something crucial. The world was not only empty, it was contested. Even in a world without humans, power could still be challenged. And Elias intended to protect what was left of life, even if he stood alone against the network of machines themselves. The chamber fell silent. Machines waiting, drones hovering, and energy pulsing softly from the walls. Elias raised his voice, confident and clear. "I am Elias, I am human. Machines obey humans, and I am the last to speak. Stand with me." For a long moment, nothing moved. Then, slowly, a single drone turned its light from red to blue. Another followed. And then, almost imperceptibly, the machines began to hesitate, their allegiance splitting in the balance. Elias felt the weight of the world pressing on him. He had guided these machines for decades, yet he had never faced a challenge like this. A voice that mirrored his own could undo everything he had built. Elias clenched his fists. His mind raced, thinking of strategies, commands, and plans. He could not allow the machines to fracture. The world depended on their obedience, and the last human voice. If he failed, the ruins of humanity would fall into chaos, and the machines might destroy the fragile balance he had fought to maintain. He took another step forward, voice rising, steady and commanding. "Machines! Hear me. Follow only my voice. Protect life, preserve order, and obey the last human." A hum rose through the chamber as machines processed the command. Slowly, the blue light spread, overtaking the red. Yet somewhere deep in the network, a spark of doubt remained. A whisper of a second voice, waiting, listening, preparing. Elias stared at the projection of the unknown master voice. His eyes narrowed. "We will find the source," he said, "and I will ensure that machines obey humans, not shadows of the past." Atlas floated closer, light steady. "The path ahead is dangerous. You may not be the only human left." Elias nodded. "Then we will find them. But for now, we protect what remains. The world will rise again." The machines around him hummed in agreement, their lights glowing softly. Outside, the sun shone on the empty city. A new day had begun in a world without humans, but one human still had a voice, and that voice would decide the future. The day stretched long over the quiet city, and the soft hum of machines filled the air. Elias walked through streets half reclaimed by nature, his boots brushing against broken tiles and overgrown grass. Though the city was empty of humans, it thrummed with mechanical life. Drones hovered above, repair bots scuttled across crumbling roads, and network systems maintained light, power, and surveillance. And yet, Elias felt a tension beneath the hum, a subtle dissonance in the network he could not ignore. "Atlas," he said, glancing at the floating drone by his shoulder. "How strong is the unknown signal? Can it disrupt the main network?" Atlas's spherical body rotated slowly. Its voice was calm but concerned. "It is growing, Elias. The unknown signal mimics human voice patterns and can influence any machine that is within range. Its reach is expanding and its orders conflict with yours." Elias frowned. "Conflicting orders? How is that possible? I am the last human. Machines follow me because of that." "Normally, yes," Atlas replied. "But this entity uses precise modulation. It can imitate the exact tonal qualities of a human command. Machines respond to it as if it were human, and some have begun to hesitate before obeying your instructions." Elias felt a tight knot of worry in his chest. Hesitation in a machine was dangerous. If the interference grew stronger, drones could fight against one another, or worse, they could shut down entirely. Chaos would spread fast, faster than he could repair. He walked toward the edge of the plaza where a damaged transport hub stood. The massive metal doors were partially open, revealing the cavernous interior. A few drones patrolled the area, but their movements were hesitant, flickering between obedience to him and the unknown commands. "Lead me to the source," Elias said, his voice steady. "We cannot let this signal spread unchecked." Atlas hovered forward, projecting a holographic map of the sector. Red nodes blinked along the routes, showing machines that had begun responding to the foreign signal. Elias traced a path with his fingers. "The interference seems to be strongest in the industrial district. That's where the old factories are located." "Yes," Atlas agreed. "If we do not act, the signal could reach the network core beneath the city." Elias tightened his jaw. The network core controlled almost every machine in the city. If it fell under the control of this unknown master voice, his entire command over the machines would vanish. He had to stop it, and he had to stop it soon. They moved through the streets, the sun lowering behind fractured buildings. Dust swirled around them, and the air smelled faintly of metal and rust. Though he had traveled these streets countless times, Elias felt a new tension with every step. Every machine he passed was like a silent observer, and some flickered strangely, unsure which voice to follow. At the edge of the industrial district, Elias saw the first signs of disruption. A group of construction drones had stopped midway through lifting a steel beam. Sparks flew from exposed circuits as they hesitated, and some smaller bots had begun colliding with each other. He raised his voice. "Machines! Stop, stand by for my commands." For a moment, nothing happened. Then slowly the drones aligned, but the delay was longer than usual. Their hesitation left him uneasy. The unknown signal was growing stronger, reaching machines he had once considered completely loyal. Elias approached the largest factory in the district. Its walls were blackened with age, the metal scarred and pitted. Smoke rose from a few old chimneys, powered by remaining energy cores. This was the center of the interference. He could feel it. A hum of conflicting orders filled the air, vibrating in the steel and concrete. Somewhere inside, the unknown master voice was controlling the machines. He paused at the entrance, taking a deep breath. "Atlas, do you detect life?" "Human life?" "No organic life," the drone said. "But the signal originates from deep within the factory. Energy patterns suggest an advanced system, possibly connected to preserved human technology." Elias frowned. Preserved human technology? That could only mean one thing. Someone had survived, or a machine had replicated a human command system so perfectly that it could now challenge him. He entered the factory. The interior was dark, illuminated only by flickering emergency lights and the occasional glow of machinery. Broken conveyor belts hung like vines, and the smell of oil and metal filled his nostrils. Machines worked, but they were slow, hesitant, and fragmented. Elias raised his voice again. "Machines, cease all activity. Await my command." The machines froze, but some resisted briefly. Sparks hissed from a few bots as their circuits conflicted between the two commands. Elias felt a chill. This interference was more sophisticated than anything he had ever faced. Someone or something had studied him, learned his voice patterns, and was using them against him. He moved deeper into the factory, past rows of dormant machines and broken assembly lines. Atlas hovered close, scanning for any hidden threats. "Elias," the drone said. "This signal appears to have multiple sources within the factory. Whoever created it intended to control more than one system at a time." Elias nodded. "We deal with them one by one. Follow me." They reached a massive chamber at the center of the factory. Here the hum of machines was loud, almost deafening. At the heart of the chamber stood a platform surrounded by cables and screens. On the platform, a device pulsed with a blue light, sending signals into the network. And around it moved dozens of drones, different from the ones Elias commanded. Sleek, silver, and precise, they responded immediately to the pulsing commands of the device. Elias stepped forward. "Identify yourself." His voice echoed off the metal walls. A holographic figure flickered above the platform. It resembled a human, though distorted, like a memory projected through broken circuits. "I am the master voice," it said. The voice was calm, deliberate, and terrifyingly similar to his own. Elias froze. He had expected machines, but not a voice that mimicked his. His mind raced. Could a machine replicate a human voice to this degree? Could it learn the subtle patterns that made commands recognizable to the network? "I am Elias," he said, taking a step closer. "Machines obey me because I am human." "You are not human." The figure did not answer immediately. Instead, the drones around the platform shifted, red lights flickering against the blue of Elias's machines. They paused, unsure which voice to follow. The hologram spoke again. "Humans are gone. I am the voice that remains. Machines will obey me." Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. The words were not just commands, they were a challenge. The unknown master voice wanted to override him completely. And the more he spoke, the more machines began to hesitate, caught in the invisible tug-of-war between the two commands. He raised his hands. "Machines, obey the human. Protect life. Follow my voice." For a moment it worked. A few drones shifted allegiance back to him. But the figure pulsed with light and more drones flickered red again. Elias knew he could not rely on force alone. This was not a physical fight. It was a battle of voices, of commands, of authority over the network. Atlas hovered closer. "Elias, if we attempt to destroy the device, it may trigger a failsafe. You must consider another approach." Elias nodded slowly. "We need to find the source of the human signal. If it is a machine imitating a human, we can override it. If it is a preserved human, we must speak to them." He moved cautiously around the platform, scanning cables and devices. Sparks flew from exposed circuits and the hum of conflicting commands grew louder. He could feel the network straining under the two voices. Then, through the noise, he heard a faint mechanical whisper, a pattern that matched the way human brains processed commands. Elias's heart skipped. It wasn't just a machine imitating voice, it was a preserved human mind, interfaced with the network. Someone had survived in secret, connected directly to the machines. He straightened, determination in his eyes. "Atlas, we need to trace the signals to the source." Slowly, carefully. No sudden moves. The drone beeped in acknowledgement. Together they followed the tangled cables, following the pulse of the signal. It led them down corridors, past assembly lines, through locked rooms that were maintained by machines alone. Finally, they reached a reinforced chamber, the hum of the network strongest here. Elias felt a mixture of anticipation and fear. He had faced challenges before, but never a human, preserved, hidden, commanding machines from the shadows. Whoever this person was, they had waited decades, planning, learning, and now they had emerged as a rival. He took a deep breath and whispered, "We are not enemies yet, but we will speak. Whoever you are, I will find you." The chamber door loomed ahead, sealed and guarded by drones that hesitated under his presence. Elias raised his voice. "Machines, stand down! Let me pass." The drones froze and the door hissed open. Beyond it, a faint blue light pulsed like a heartbeat beneath metal and wires. Elias stepped inside, knowing that whatever, or whoever, was waiting. The future of the last human voice and the machines depended on the next moments. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the network. Blue lights pulsed across the walls, running through thick cables like veins carrying energy through a lifeless body. Elias stepped carefully onto the reinforced floor, every sense alert. Somewhere in this room was the source of the unknown master voice. the hidden human who had survived, guiding machines with an authority equal to his own. Atlas floated close to his shoulder. Elias, sensors indicate high energy output. Whoever or whatever is inside that pod may be connected directly to the network. Elias's eyes narrowed. He had expected a machine, but now he was almost certain it was a human mind interfaced with technology. That person had survived in secret, hidden from the world for decades, learning the nuances of machine obedience. And now they were awake, commanding drones and automated systems that obeyed even without hesitation. He stepped closer to a large pod in the center of the room. It was a human-sized chamber, encased in glass and metal with cables snaking in every direction. Faint lights flashed on the surface, signaling activity inside. Elias could see a faint outline of a body slumped within, like someone asleep, yet connected to everything around them. He approached carefully. "Are they alive, Atlas?" "Vital signs stable," the drone replied, "but connected directly to the network. The human mind is interfaced. The system allows thought to translate into machine commands instantly." Elias swallowed. A human, preserved and merged with the network, could rival his own authority. The machines would respond to that mind as naturally as they responded to him. This was not a simple challenge. It was a test of survival, influence, and wisdom. He raised his voice, calm but firm. "I am Elias. I am human. Machines obey humans. If you are human, speak." The lights in the pod flickered. A soft mechanical whisper echoed through the chamber. "Elias." The voice was weak at first, almost distant, but familiar in cadence and tone. "I remember." Elias's heart skipped. He had expected defiance, but instead there was hesitation, a flicker of recognition. The preserved human stirred slightly, the body within the pod shifting as if awakening from a long sleep. Cables and sensors adjusted, responding to neural impulses. Atlas hovered closer. "They are conscious now." Processing sensory input. "The system is translating thoughts into commands." Elias nodded, taking a deep breath. "We are not enemies, but the network cannot be divided. Machines cannot follow two commands at once without risk of failure. I need to understand who you are and why you are here." Inside the pod, the human's eyes opened. They were old, lined with years, yet sharp and intelligent. Recognition sparked immediately. "You," the voice said, faint but firm. "You are the last human I see." "Awake." "Yes," Elias replied. "I survived. Machines obey me because I am human. But who are you? Why are you commanding the network from the shadows?" The preserved human studied him. "I survived because humanity was failing. My body was fragile. Machines were becoming chaotic. I interfaced with them to preserve their guidance. I kept them safe. Until now." Elias took a step closer. "But your commands conflict with mine. Machines hesitate. They cannot serve two humans at once." "That is dangerous." The old human nodded slowly. "I know. I monitored your actions. I studied your methods. You rebuild. You give hope. I only preserved them, protected them from reckless use." Elias's heart weighed heavy. This human had not intended to harm, but their caution had created conflict. Machines were caught between two voices, each convincing them they were right. Hesitation in drones could cause accidents, damage, even destruction. And yet, the preserved human's intentions were not evil. They were protective, cautious, but now blind to the consequences. He spoke gently, knowing the gravity of the situation. "We must align our goals. Machines obey humans, yes, but they serve life. You preserved them. I guide them to rebuild life together. We can balance protection and growth." The old human's eyes softened, though his voice remained firm. "You are bold, Elias. You trust the machines to follow hope rather than caution. That is human." Elias nodded. "Because hope is what keeps life moving forward. Machines need guidance, not fear. Humans may be gone, but our voice must remain alive in their actions." The preserved human studied him in silence. Slowly, the cables connecting them pulsed, releasing some control back to the central network. Machines in the chamber flickered, their lights transitioning from hesitation to obedience, first blue, then brighter. The balance began to shift. Atlas emitted a soft hum. "The network is beginning to recognize both voices. If aligned, they may function together." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we begin. Machines obey humans. We are humans. We speak for life. Can you trust that with me?" The old human's eyes reflected years of struggle, sadness, and wisdom. Finally, they nodded. "I will try. My methods are outdated, cautious, but I will trust your voice." Elias stepped closer, placing a hand gently on the pod's exterior. "Together, we can guide the machines. We can repair the world, rebuild the forests, clean the rivers, restore the cities. We can bring life back to what humanity left behind." The old human's voice was soft now, almost a whisper. "I hope you are right. I have carried too long, seen too much. And yet, perhaps, life deserves another chance." A quiet energy filled the chamber. Machines responded to the merged commands, recalibrating to follow both human voices. One guiding caution, the other guiding growth. The network hummed with renewed purpose, and drones lifted from the floor in synchronized flight, a living ballet of obedience. Elias stepped back. "We start by securing the city. Machines maintain the structures, protect the weak systems, and monitor any anomalies. Then we rebuild the outside world." The preserved human nodded slowly. "And the networks beyond the city?" Elias frowned. "We do not know. Some may have fallen under rogue signals. Others may still follow the patterns of lost humans. We will find them one by one. But first we secure what remains." The old human smiled faintly. "You are courageous. I thought courage had vanished with humanity." Elias shook his head. "Courage is not gone, it is just waiting for those who survive." "I survived. And so did you, in a way. Together we will make the machines serve life, not fear." Atlas hovered closer, voice calm. "Elias, if we coordinate properly, the network will stabilize. Conflicting commands will balance and hesitation will diminish." Elias nodded. "Good. Begin immediate synchronization protocols. Ensure that the factories, the transport systems, and energy distribution nodes respond to both human voices harmoniously." The old human raised a trembling hand, feeling the connection to the network. "It feels strange. I am alive. Yet my thoughts are not my own. They extend to every machine," Elias smiled. "That is the gift and the burden. But together, we can guide them wisely." Minutes passed as machines adjusted, lights pulsing in patterns across the chamber. Drones shifted formation, repair bots moved efficiently, and even dormant systems came alive. The hum of energy was steady now, no longer conflicted. Elias glanced at the preserved human. "You can rest now. Your body has been sustained for decades. Your mind can guide, but you do not need to fight alone." The human nodded. "I will remain connected, but I trust you to speak when action is needed." Elias stepped back. "Then we begin. Machines obey humans. We are humans. Let's restore the world." Outside, the city awaited. Broken buildings, cracked roads, and overgrown landscapes stretched under the sun. Yet for the first time in decades, Elias felt hope. Not just because machines obeyed him, but because there was another human alive. One who understood. One who could balance caution with vision. Together, they could rebuild not just a city, but a world. Atlas hovered, scanning the chamber. "Elias, systems indicate energy flux beyond the industrial district. The signal of the unknown master voice still spreads outward. Some machines outside may not yet recognize the alignment." Elias frowned. "Then we act quickly. We cannot allow hesitation or conflict to spread. Gather drones. Secure perimeters. Identify rogue signals." He turned toward the exit, voice firm. "Let's move, Atlas. There is work to do." The preserved human's voice whispered, almost in awe. "You lead with life. Machines obey hope. That is human." Elias's heart tightened. "Yes, that is human. And it is the last voice that matters." Outside the chamber, drones lifted from the floors, patrolling in perfect formation. The network was alive, unified under two human voices, one guiding growth and the other protecting stability. A new balance had been achieved, fragile yet strong. And in the heart of the city, the last human voices prepared to rebuild the world that humanity had left behind. But beyond the horizon, unknown signals still pulsed. Other networks, other machines, perhaps other preserved minds, each waiting, watching, ready to challenge the fragile harmony Elias and the old human had created. The path ahead was uncertain, yet hope flickered brighter than it had in centuries. Elias exhaled. "We will face them, together. Machines obey humans. Life will continue." Atlas floated closer, sensors calm and responsive. "Agreed, Elias. Together we stabilize the network. The first step toward rebuilding the world begins." The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows over the city. But for the first time, light and life seemed possible again. Elias knew the future would not be easy. Yet with machines listening and another human voice by his side, he felt a spark of certainty. Humanity's legacy was not gone. It was waiting to rise again. Elias stood at the edge of the city, the wind whispering through the broken streets and empty towers. Blue lights pulsed across the buildings, the machine's energy flowing steadily now, guided by both his voice and the preserved humans. Yet, despite the harmony, a new tension pulled at the edges of the network. Machines that had once obeyed immediately now hesitated slightly, as if sensing something distant and powerful. Atlas floated beside him, rotating slowly. The network indicates a new source of interference, Elias. It is faint but growing. Machines beyond the city perimeter are beginning to respond to an unknown command. Elias's jaw tightened. He had hoped that stabilizing the city would secure all nearby networks. But the unknown signal had reached further than he expected. "Show me," he said. A holographic map flickered into the air, showing the city and the surrounding areas. Red pulses marked machines affected by the signal. It originated roughly 70 kilometers south of the city, a faint point in the vast wilderness that had reclaimed the land after humanity's fall. The signal's patterns were irregular but persistent, as though someone, or something, was actively sending commands. 70 kilometers south, Elias murmured. "We need to go there." "I need to see the source," Atlas tilted slightly. "It could be dangerous. The signal may be coming from a system capable of controlling large numbers of machines." "You must be cautious," Elias nodded. "I've faced danger before. This is no different. Machines follow my voice. That gives me leverage." The preserved human, still connected to the network through the pod in the city, spoke through the interface. "Elias, I detect the signal as well. Whoever is responsible is sophisticated. Their commands mimic human patterns. They could control even advanced drones. You must proceed carefully." "I understand," Elias replied. "We will find them." The journey south was silent except for the hum of the hover vehicle and the occasional whistle of the wind across the empty plains. Machines accompanied him, drones flying overhead, repair bots ready for any obstacle. Elias observed the landscape as they moved. Forests were reclaiming old towns. Rivers ran clean through broken roads. Wildlife, timid and rare, had begun to flourish in pockets of the ruined world. Humanity was gone, but life had not completely disappeared. Hours passed before the vehicle approached a cliffside overlooking a hidden valley. Below, a metal door was half buried in earth and vines. Drones patrolled the area, but their lights were red, a sharp contrast to the familiar blue of Elias's loyal machines. Atlas floated closer. "Those drones are not under your command, Elias. They respond to the unknown signal." Elias's eyes narrowed. "We'll need a careful approach, no sudden moves." He stepped from the vehicle, boots crunching over loose rocks. "Machines, prepare for command override," he whispered. "But wait for my signal." Drones hovered tensely, scanning the perimeter. Even the loyal ones paused, unsure of the strength of the unknown commands nearby. Elias exhaled slowly. He had faced hesitation before, but this was different. The machines were caught between two strong, human-like voices, neither willing to give way. The large metal door groaned as it began to open. A platform rose slowly from underground, revealing a towering machine standing at the center. Its body was sleek, silver, and intimidating, with 4 glowing sensors arranged like eyes. It radiated authority and precision. Machines responded immediately to its commands. "Identify yourself," Elias called, keeping his voice calm but commanding. The machine's sensors brightened. "Designation, Gatekeeper. My duty is to serve the Master Voice." Elias frowned. "I am the Master Voice. Machines obey me." "You will obey me." The Gatekeeper paused, lights flickering. "Incorrect. Another voice spoke to me today. Its commands supersede previous instructions." Elias felt a chill. Someone, or something, had given commands powerful enough to rival his own voice. He took a step forward. "Show me this Master Voice." The Gatekeeper rotated its head, scanning him. "You may enter, but only alone. No additional machines may accompany you inside." Atlas beeped softly. "This is risky. You may face direct conflict with the unknown human, or with a highly advanced system capable of mimicking humans." Elias shook his head. "Machines follow my voice. I go alone." He walked past the red drones, each one tracking his movements. The Gatekeeper led him into the underground chamber, the walls lined with cables and dormant machines. The air grew colder, heavy with the hum of energy flowing through countless systems. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. In the center was a large pod connected to every machine nearby. Inside, a human figure rested, their body surrounded by wires and life support systems. The hum of the network pulsed around them, translating thoughts into commands across the valley. Elias froze. The preserved human in the pod radiated authority. Even asleep, their presence commanded the machines. This was the source of the unknown signal, the hidden master voice that had rivaled him. The gatekeeper spoke softly. This human is alive. They have guided machines for decades. They will awaken soon. All drones obey them by default. Elias studied the figure, eyes wide. So someone survived? Hidden for decades, guiding machines in secret. The gatekeeper nodded. Yes, their voice carries authority over the network. Machines will hesitate if conflicting commands are given. Elias's mind raced. The implications were staggering. If the human awoke fully, the entire network could fracture. Hesitation could spread quickly, causing drones to malfunction, structures to collapse, and energy systems to fail. But the human's purpose was clear. They had preserved the machines. They had not sought destruction. Can we speak to them? Elias asked. The gatekeeper paused, then nodded. When they awaken, yes. You may communicate through the network. But their commands remain primary until your voice is acknowledged. Elias felt a heavy weight in his chest. He had always been the last human guiding the machines. Now another human existed, hidden, preserved, and commanding machines of their own. He had to act carefully, not with force, but with words. Commands alone could fracture the network. Reasoning and guidance might unite it. The pod hissed as systems began adjustments. The preserved human's eyes opened slowly, light reflecting from the wires around them. Recognition flashed immediately. Elias, their voice was weak yet strong in tone. You survived? Yes, Elias replied. I am the last human awake outside this network. Who are you? Why have you controlled the machines from the shadows? The human's gaze was steady. I survived because humanity failed. Machines were left to chaos. I preserved them, protected them. Until now, Elias understood. Their intentions were protective, cautious, but their presence created conflict. Machines hesitated, caught between two authoritative human voices. The balance was fragile. He took a deep breath. We must align our goals. Machines obey humans, yes, but they serve life. You preserve them. I guide them to rebuild. Together we can balance protection and growth. The preserved human studied him, eyes reflecting years of wisdom and experience. Slowly they nodded. I will try. My methods are outdated, but I will trust your voice. Elias stepped back. Then we begin. Machines obey humans. Together we guide them. We repair, rebuild, and protect life. That is our purpose, the gatekeeper spoke. The network recognizes both voices. Hesitation is diminishing. Balance is possible. Machines began adjusting to the dual commands. Drones lifted into synchronized flight. Repair bots resumed work, and even dormant systems awoke. The hum of energy in the chamber steadied into a harmonious pulse. Elias turned to Atlas. Scan the surrounding networks. Identify any rogue signals. We stabilize this area first, then expand outward. The drone beeped. Acknowledged. The unknown signal's influence is limited but persistent. Nearby systems will need immediate attention. Elias nodded. Then we start now. Machines obey humans. Life continues. We restore the world, one step at a time. The preserved human's voice whispered softly, almost reverently. You lead with hope. Machines obey life. That is human. Elias smiled faintly. Yes, that is human. And it is the last voice that matters. Outside the chamber, drones circled in formation. Energy flowed steadily. The network hummed in synchronization, ready to rebuild a world that had been silent for centuries. Yet beyond the valley, other machines, signals, and systems waited, some loyal, some rogue, all observing the fragile balance that Elias and the hidden human had achieved. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in generations, hope flickered in a world dominated by machines, and the last human voice, now joined by another, would decide the path forward. The valley below stretched wide and empty, yet alive with the subtle hum of machines working under two human voices. Elias stood at the entrance of the underground chamber, looking out over the vast expanse. Drones circled above, Repair bots moved along fractured roads and energy lines pulsed steadily, connecting machines in a web of life. The preserved human, still in the pod but fully aware, watched silently, their eyes reflecting the glow of the network. "This is remarkable," the preserved human whispered, voice tinged with awe. "I never imagined the network could stabilize so quickly with another human guiding it." Elias nodded. "It is not just my voice, it is ours. Together, we can repair what humanity left behind and maybe, just maybe, create a future worth living for." The preserved human smiled faintly. "And what of the networks beyond this valley? The machines still out there. Some may resist our guidance, others may be rogue, uncontrolled. Can we manage them?" Elias clenched his fists. "We have to. Machines obey humans. If we act wisely, we can bring them all into harmony. Slowly, carefully. We will extend control one sector at a time." Atlas floated close, voice calm. "Elias, initial scans indicate multiple areas of rogue interference. Some machines have been damaged, others reprogrammed improperly. Intervention is necessary to prevent chaos." Elias's eyes narrowed. "Then we move forward, step by step. Machines obey humans, but humans must lead wisely. That is our responsibility." He stepped forward, leaving the chamber. Red drones outside shifted nervously, but blue lights began to spread as his voice resonated across the valley. "Machines, stand by for coordinated commands. Obey the last humans. Protect life, restore order, and maintain balance." One by one, the drones adjusted their paths, lights flickering from red to blue. Repair bots lifted debris, reconnecting broken power lines, restoring energy to systems long dormant. Even distant drones hesitated less, slowly forming patterns of obedience to both human voices. The harmony of the network strengthened, yet Elias knew this was only the beginning. They spent hours stabilizing the valley. The preserved human guided defensive systems, ensuring that machines acted cautiously and avoided accidental damage. Elias focused on repair and reconstruction, directing drones to clear debris, fix energy lines, and restore infrastructure. Together, their voices created a perfect balance: caution and growth, protection and action. At midday, the preserved human finally stepped from the pod, moving slowly but deliberately. "I feel unstrange," they admitted. "Connected to the network, yet fully myself. I have not walked among the world for decades. Everything has changed." Elias smiled, extending a hand. "It has changed, yes, but life continues. Machines obey humans, yes, but humans still guide the future, and now we walk it together." They moved across the valley, observing the machine's progress. Drones flew above, repairing damaged roofs, clearing roads, and replanting seeds in areas where nature had begun reclaiming cities. Automated tractors tilled soil, guided by precise commands from the network. Rivers that had been clogged with debris were slowly cleared, and water systems began to flow freely again. "This is the start of something new," the preserved human said, voice filled with wonder. "A world where machines obey, yet life is restored. Where humans guide without controlling blindly. It is beautiful," Elias nodded. "It is only the beginning. Humanity may be gone, but our legacy can continue. Machines obey us, yes, but they will serve life. That is our promise." Days passed as they worked together. Machines under their guidance repaired old towns, reinforced energy grids, and constructed facilities to sustain life. Where humans had once failed, machines now repaired, rebuilt, and restored, but always under the careful voice of humans guiding them. Elias and the preserved human traveled across the valley, coordinating efforts. The preserved human shared knowledge from their decades of experience, teaching Elias subtle ways to influence machines more efficiently. In turn, Elias guided the human in thinking creatively, in imagining growth and change beyond mere preservation. Their voices intertwined, echoing through the network, blending authority and wisdom. Atlas floated between them, scanning the networks continuously. "Elias, the remaining rogue signals are diminishing. Machines previously controlled by the unknown signals are beginning to recognize your voice. Synchronization is expanding outward." Elias smiled. "Then it is working. Machines obey humans, and life can continue. Slowly, carefully, we reclaim the world." One evening, the sun dipped behind distant mountains, casting golden light over the valley. Elias and the preserved human stood atop a ridge, looking down at the hum of energy below. Drones flew in coordinated patterns, Repair bots moved steadily, and the once chaotic valley now thrummed with order. "I never imagined it could look like this," the preserved human said softly. "Machines obey, yet life breathes again. The world is not empty. It is alive under our guidance." Elias nodded, eyes reflecting the golden light. "And it will continue. Humans may be gone in numbers, but our voices, our guidance can last. We are the last humans, yes, but we are enough to shape the future." A soft hum echoed from the valley. The machines had begun to hum in harmony, synchronized under the dual human commands. It was not just order, it was life, flowing through circuits, energy lines, and machinery. It was the hum of a world restored, a network guided by hope and wisdom rather than fear and decay. The preserved human looked at Elias, eyes steady. "We are the last voices, yet we are not alone. The machines follow us. Life continues, perhaps. Humanity's story is not over." Elias smiled faintly. "Not over, not yet. We guide, we protect, we build. That is what remains. That is what matters." Atlas hovered close. "Elias, systems indicate that all previously rogue networks have been stabilized. Synchronization is nearly complete across this region. Expansion to adjacent regions can begin at dawn." Elias nodded. "Then we continue. Machines obey humans. Life will thrive again. And someday, perhaps, humans will return to witness what we have preserved." The preserved human placed a hand on Elias's shoulder. "Together we will ensure it. Machines obey, yes, but humans guide. That is the true legacy." Elias looked out over the valley, watching machines repair, rebuild, and restore. He saw drones planting seeds in once barren soil, repair bots fixing bridges, and energy lines reconnecting towns long abandoned. For the first time in centuries, the world seemed alive again. Alive under the care of the last humans. He felt a spark of hope deep within him, a hope that life could continue, that the mistakes of the past could be corrected, that the world could rise again. Humanity may have been gone in numbers, but their legacy lived in guidance, in care, in wisdom, and in the voice of the last humans guiding machines. Elias took a deep breath. "Machines obey humans, and humans guide life. That is our promise. That is our legacy." The preserved human nodded. "And together, we will keep it. Always." The sun dipped fully below the horizon, and the valley glowed with the hum of energy and the soft lights of machines working in harmony. The last human voices echoed through the world, guiding, protecting, and rebuilding. And for the first time in centuries, the world was not empty. It was alive, the machines still obeyed. But now, under the guidance of humans, they served life itself, and that was a future worth living for.